Australian. Good effort.
Alright guys, why you shouldn't try the Bulgarian weightlifting method, okay? Pretty self-explanatory. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be going through some points on my laptop here as to why I don't feel you should do it. And, you know, we are mainly talking about the cons of the program because I can't really see a whole lot of positives besides having a really strong record. But even then, there's other ways to achieve that. But we're not here to talk shit about the method, okay? Now, we're here to simply observe, make observations, and have conversations about it because most people that start Olympic weightlifting know the Bulgarian method, and most people refer to, oh yeah bro, just train Bulgarian. Everyone knows what it is, okay? But for those who don't, let's give you a quick little summary here. So the Bulgarian weightlifting method, this is to my knowledge, is essentially a method where you basically max out every single day. Now there's been some programs online that we've attained. We don't know how legitimate these sources are. I'll put some of them here in the video. But basically the program is literally maxing out every single day. So doing front squats to maximum, snatch to maximum, clean and jerk to maximum, and doing it multiple times per day. So morning session, middle of the day session, evening session, max out, squats, snatch, clean and jerk, crazy. Pretty simple, not a lot of powers in there, not a lot of pulling stuff, just literally snatch, clean, jerk, and squats. So that's the program in a nutshell, and obviously we can see some things wrong with that as we break it down. Now, quick disclaimer, Ivan Abajayev is the person who essentially invented this program and this style of training through his knowledge and his coaching, and obviously himself as a lifter. We are not taking anything away from Mr. Ivan Abajayev, rest in peace, and obviously we're here just to observe the program and to, you know, make some observations on it and give my honest opinion on it, okay? And I hope you guys enjoy the content that's playing right now. We got some footage from the Bulgarian Weightlifting School of Champions, which is a documentary available on YouTube. You guys can just go search up School of Champions, it'll be available. And on top of that, we got some podium gold weightlifting footage from my man Hasan Bukalu, who was not Bulgarian, he was Albanian, but he was coached by Ivan Abajayev, who invented this method. So I thought it would be appropriate to have some of his videos in here. Some of his videos are crazy, guys. If you want to see hard training, go look up podium gold weightlifting, okay? And that's all I have to say. Click on their YouTube and just watch their videos, okay? It's just training vlogs essentially of Hasan maxing out morning sessions, middle of the day sessions, evening sessions. It's a session where he missed, I think he missed a 200 kilo clean and jerk in the morning, missed it twice or three times. Then he tried to clean 205, missed it. And then he comes back in the evening session and does it. It's ridiculous. But anyways, enough ranting, enough raving about how much I love Bulgarian lifters, which I really do. Again, not talking shit, but let's make some topics. Let's make some chats about this. So the first point is injuries. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're maxing out every single day, you're going to probably run into some problems. There are going to be some overuse injuries, tendinopathies, elbow pain, wrist pain, back pain, disc degeneration, cartilage damage, arthritis. All these different things are probably going to occur when you're pushing your body to the maximum limits on a daily basis. So injuries are an absolute guarantee. That is the first point of why I wouldn't recommend, why you shouldn't do the Bulgarian weightlifting program, is you're just going to get injured. Let's be real. Doesn't matter how much you prioritize your recovery. Like, let's be honest, cards out on the table. You could be on anabolic steroids. You could be on any performance enhancing drug in the world. You'd be getting massages every day. You can be getting your physio working, your little pretty prehab stuff, all that kind of stuff. You're still going to get injured if you're going to maximum every single day. It's just basic science, okay? But the cool thing about the Bulgarian method is Ivan Abajayev just said, fuck that, I don't care. And he just said, we're going to maximum anyway. And it kind of worked. It kind of worked, okay? Now, his philosophy on this program was the muscle is an organism. He talks about this in School of Champions documentary. I hope you guys watch that after. He talks about the muscle being an organism. And the organism is adaptable, and it adapts quite easily to stimuluses, okay? So his mindset was, well, if we max them out every single day, 2-3 times per day, every single day of the week, the body will just have to adapt to it. The brain will adapt, and yeah, most importantly, the muscles and the body will just simply adapt. But I just feel like a lot of lifters, and this is factual, this is true. They spoke to Ivan Avajev about this a long time after the training camps and stuff, and a lot of lifters left the camp. They got injured, they left. Even in the School Champions documentary, it talks about how lifters come and go. They do maximum competition trials every single week. Every single week, there's new lifters coming into the camp because lifters are leaving due to injury. So injuries are a huge problem with the Bulgarian method. You're almost 99.9% guaranteed to get an injury if you train this way, okay? Like I said, I like to go heavy frequently. I love doing that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But doing it every single day, twice a day, is just bonkers in my opinion. But we don't talk crap because the Bulgarian weightlifting method produced some amazing lifters, and may rest in peace Ivan Avajev. So, number 2, kind of following on what we were saying before. Okay, I've got 5 points here, by the way, guys. Not a sustainable method. You will mentally lose interest and potentially want to leave or quit weightlifting. So sustainability is a really cool, like a really important thing to talk about here. It's not really cool, but how sustainable is maxing out every single day? How long term is that going to be beneficial for you? You're a young weightlifter. You're in your late to mid-teens, okay? You've developed a respectful amount of technique and position. You're lifting quite well. You've now gone into the Bulgarian weightlifting training camp. You've gone into the system. You're on the program. You're on the supplement you're on everything, okay? Everything is catered. Your life is now weightlifting, okay? From that age of mid-teens to late teens, because that's when most weightlifters would start professionally, right? If they're in a supportive country. Could we see any of them lifting for 15, 20, 25 years long-term with this style of training? Heck no. There's just no way. It's impossible, okay? So sustainability of this program is something that's not obviously there, okay? The goal of this is to get results quickly, fast, and then once the lift is injured, move them out, move someone else new in, okay? It's not really a long-term sustainable type of way to train weightlifting, in my opinion. There are many different ways you can do it, okay? And like I said before, I like going heavy a lot, sometimes 3 times per week, but that's not every single day of the week. And we got technique work in between. We got lighter percentage days, speed focus. There's all different focuses on those lighter practice type technical sessions. I couldn't imagine doing a 95% snatch clean jerk session on a Monday and then Tuesday backing it up again and then Wednesday backing it up. And then it's ridiculous. I have to have those technical days in between, at least 1 or 2 in between. Okay. And we'll talk about later drugs versus no drugs doing this method and how I actually feel. But it's still a hard method, regardless if you're using PEDs or not, because you still need to recover. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, sustainability is the biggest problem with the Bulgarian weightlifting method. It's not sustainable. I don't believe any lifter was able to make it past a 10-year career span. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I really don't believe anyone would be able to do more than 10 years of competitive lifting this way. Does that mean I'm talking about Carlos Nassar currently? No, because I know he trains differently. He trains his own style. He had a different coach, etc. Took aspects from the Bulgarian training system, as do I of my training. And then kind of put a spin on it like so. So like I said, sustainability, not the best. And yeah, you might want to quit weightlifting. You might want to stop weightlifting. I mean, who wants to, it's cool being strong, right? But after a while, it kind of gets old and maxing out all the time isn't super fun. It's bad on your body. It hurts, yeah? Cool, so that's the second point, okay? Third point, you don't have a full-time training camp, okay? You don't get paid to weightlift. It is not your job. You just simply can't train that much. You can't train 3 times per day. You don't have systematic support, systematic doping. You don't have massages twice a day. You don't have active recoveries like saunas and spa. You don't have masseuses there massaging you in between sessions. You don't have these resources to be training at that intensity 3 times per day. No one has it, okay? Not even lifters who are currently in training camps, because it's just not necessary. Well, there are lifters that have it. I take that back. But still, a lot of people don't have access to that. So when people say, I just want to get strong, I'm just going to train Bulgarian, look at what you have. Look what is accessible for you as a lifter, okay? Are you from a Western country? Most of you are if you watch my channel, right? You don't have access to that. Even if you take 6 months off work, you're not going to be able to afford that style of training. You don't have government support. Weightlifting's not a big sport in most Western countries. There's not the financial support. So you don't have a full-time training camp is the bottom line here, okay? If you don't have a full-time training camp, you can't train at that intensity. And even if you did have a full-time training camp, what's to say you don't just get injured, like we talked about before, and you end up having to leave? So, yeah, the third point, I'm not really going to go too much into it. Yeah, like I said, you don't have a full-time training camp. Weightlifting isn't your job. You don't have support. You don't have systematic support, whether it be via, doping, programming, government, all that kind of stuff. You don't have that, so you can't train like that, even though I don't think you should. So that's my third point. Okay. All right. Fourth point here. You most likely are not using performance-enhancing drugs. I said it. The scary performance-enhancing drug word. I know every weightlifter should never say that word. It's like the devil's advocate, right? It's a thing, all right? Performance-enhancing drugs. They're a part of the sports. At the elite level lifters use performance-enhancing drugs, okay? And I'm assuming, and I'm not assuming, I know this as a fact, most of the lifters that were training in this time were using anabolic steroids and performance-enhancing drugs, okay? So they were training at that intensity because they could allow themselves to train at that intensity, but it also supports that training, okay? And what I mean by that is if you have a natural lifter versus a clean lifter who's trying to train this way, I mean, if you have a natural lifter versus a lifter who's on performance enhancing drugs, the lifter who's on performance enhancing drugs, PEDs, is going to obviously perform better in that training environment because they can simply recover more. Now, does that mean they can recover perfectly, like maxing out Monday, recover for Tuesday, max out, recover for Wednesday, max out? No, it doesn't. It just means you still need to recover, but you don't need to recover as much. Okay. So general rule of thumb when it comes to athletes on performance enhancing drugs and athletes who are natural or not using performance enhancing drugs, and this is from my research and what I know with studies and all that kind of stuff, would be usually you do one max out session. So say you go to maximum. If you're using performance enhancing drugs, you probably need 24 to 36-ish hours to recover from that session properly, assumably, versus if you're a natural lifter, you'd probably need 3 to 4 days to recover. So it's like the time of recovery is doubled essentially, right? So for example, you're on gear, you do a heavy session, you need 2 days to recover to go hard again, right? If you're natural, you need 4 or 5 days, right? So the frequency of lifting heavy is going to be a lot less if you're natural versus enhanced. Obviously, enhanced lifters are going to thrive doing this program. Doesn't mean they're not going to get injured though. Doesn't mean they're not going to have burnout. Doesn't mean they're not going to have those fatigues and all that kind of stuff. It just means they'll probably be able to do the program a little bit easier than a natural lifter. So obviously, like I said, very, very important thing here to raise in that type of training. You're not going to be able to perform or train at that level of intensity without performance enhancing drugs. And we know for a fact that obviously the Bulgarians were using back at that time multiple positive drug tests, but also at that time, drug testing wasn't really super advanced like it is now. There wasn't any like detection times, or there wasn't any like metabolite specific testing or whatever. It was just, I don't even think, well, this is back in the 80s. I'm referring, most of the information I'm referring to, guys, is back from the 80s because this is when Ivan Abajev took over and made all his impact to the team. I don't even think drug testing was a thing back then because I think that was around the USSR time, and even when they had like the classical press at the Olympics, I don't know. But anyways, like I said, regardless of testing or not, you're not doing this program if you're not on gear. It's just the bottom line. And even if you are on gear, you're still going to struggle doing it because it's not designed for recovery. And if you're using performance enhancing drugs, you still need to recover. You still need to recover from your session so you can train harder for the sessions you're feeling better. It's not like everyone just thinks you take this magic tablet and you can just train hard every single day. It's bullshit. It doesn't work like that. Your body still needs to recover. It's just recovers in half the amount of time as what it would if you were natural, in my opinion. Okay. Last point that we're going to talk about here, and then we're going to go through some final takeaways. Okay. Hope you guys are loving the footage, by the way. I love this footage. Hyson's the man. It's sort of like we were talking about before, okay? We were talking about recovery. It's still not enough time to recover. You can't recover enough in between. I guess it's kind of like, sorry guys, I guess it's kind of like the same thing. I went on to a bit of a tangent before, but yeah, recovery is obviously, I guess the point I was meant to talk about before was talking about how PEDs versus non-PEDs, right? So if you're natural versus non-natural, this point really, we're just talking about recovery in general, just recovery in general, okay? You're not going to be able to recover from that type of training. Pretty much elaborated on that beforehand anyway. I mean, yeah, you can't max out 2-3 times per day and then expect to recover the next day. It's just silly. It's not going to happen. I would actually love to see someone fully try to do this program and like just be completely transparent and try to do the program, because I think you might go all right in the first session. What about the second and third session of the first day, and then going into the second? I just don't think I just don't think it would be. I don't think you'd be able to do it. That's the bottom line. Even professional elite level weightlifters wouldn't be able to do it. So it just, yeah. And it also makes me question that back then, like when they had the program and they said this is what they did they really do that? Did they really do that? I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I've got like 10 plus years of experience in Olympic weightlifting. I've achieved quite a bit, not to their level, but I feel like I've done a decent amount. I just don't, the math doesn't math. I just don't feel like they would actually be doing that type of training. So I don't know. Anyways, let's take some final takeaways from the video. Okay. We can learn a lot, okay, from this method, and we can try to implement this type of training into certain training blocks, etc. But we've got to be very careful with this type of method because of the intensity it has. Yeah, and obviously, if we're not optimizing recovery, then we're going to be running into some issues. Yeah. So I guess the final takeaway here, guys, is do what you will. This is the Bulgarian method. This is what Ivan Avajayev did to get many medals back in the 80s with his team. Is it the right way? I mean, you can just make your assumption based on the knowledge I've given you guys today. Does it work? Yeah, it works. But is it exactly what they did? See, that's where I'm a little bit unsure, because I don't feel like you could actually do that. But then I watch some of those podium gold videos that I mentioned earlier, and I see the way Hyson trained with Avajayev, and I'm kind of like, man, I mean, if he could do it, maybe, yeah, maybe not. So maybe yes, maybe no, who knows? So anyways, guys, yeah, that's pretty much the video. Again, talking about Bulgarian weightlifting. Again, wanted to clarify, no hate on Bulgarian weightlifting, no hate on Ivan Avajayev or anyone who's, made any moves in developing Bulgarian weightlifting. Bulgarian weightlifting is definitely coming back on the up with lifters like Carlos Nassar, and obviously there's a couple other ones there as well. So Bulgarian weightlifting is definitely coming back to its glory days, and they know a thing or two about training. Let's be real, they're not silly, and they've got an abundance of knowledge. So like I said, take this method as you will. You can utilize some of it into your own training, but be very, very careful with how you do that. And obviously, make sure you're optimizing recovery. My personal opinion, I have taken some aspects of the Bulgarian weightlifting method into my way I train, but I also put a spin on it with my own type of training. So, for example, I like to go heavy 2-3 times per week if I'm getting closer to a competition, or if I'm getting closer to hitting new personal records, right? But I like to have 1 or 2 sessions in between those heavy sessions at 70-75%, working on different focal points, technical work, positional work, speed work, might be some light block work, etc. Something that's going to let my body recover so I can have better sessions when I want to go heavier. So that's kind of my takeaway from it. But that's just what I do, and everyone does things differently, and that's the beautiful thing about Olympic weightlifting. You can do so many different things. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the tangents I went on about weightlifting, Bulgaria, and obviously just, the way the program works, etc. But yeah, guys, honestly, take it as you will. This is what it was. Pretty intense training program. It's not for everyone, definitely. It definitely worked, but yeah, like I said, I think there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this type of program. And just, with all the literature these days, and even just basic physical preparation and just understanding the human body, I just don't feel like this would be something that would work for anyone at all. So that's why it's kind of mind-boggling, and that's why there's a lot of content out there. I mean, you can go on YouTube right now and just type up in the search bar Bulgarian weightlifting method. There will be like hundreds of videos talking about it, and people have done vlogs where they've tried to do it. It's kind of similar to like the Smolov type program, which is again another can of worms. But yeah, guys, I hope you like this video. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, share it with your friends, tell them that I'm out there doing weightlifting content, trying to make this thing a little bit more routine. But yeah, really trying my best to give you guys some cool content. Last video we put up, Russian versus Chinese technique, went really well, so I'm hoping this video goes well as well. And if you guys want to see this type of content, leave a comment down below. If you want to see different content, anything, it can be technique reviews, it can be my own training vlogs, it can be comparing different systems, it can be talking about specific systems, anything weightlifting. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know exactly what you guys want to see, and I'll see if I can hook it up. I'll see if I can do something, okay?